Hey everyone, and welcome to another Kano Reviews, where we review games both new and old on all platforms. If you like the content that I make, then please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a review when it comes out. Today we review the game High on Life, which was created by one of the creative minds behind the animation series Rick and Morty. Now usually, with new releases that I look forward to, I will also record and upload long plays to my other YouTube channel, The Game Archivist. And so originally, I was planning to do this as well with High on Life. But I started to notice that various YouTubers, even with subscribers in the multiple millions, that their videos got restricted since the game is meant for adults and YouTube has become very strict over the past year or so. And thus, in order to still upload something with High on Life and show my appreciation, I decided to review it. And yes, as you might have guessed by noting the word appreciation, I actually really like this game. It's not perfect, and there are some issues, but let's see why this game brought a smile on my face throughout the entire playthrough. High on Life is a crazy and colorful first-person shooter and adventure where you play as a nameless character who stumbles upon alien forces invading Earth and abducting humans to turn them into drugs. You quickly find a gun that has a face on it and that can speak to you, and not too long after, you and your sister are transported to outer space, you become a bounty hunter, and now need to hunt the alien cartel responsible for invading Earth. If that all sounds absolutely bonkers to you, that's because it is. And the tempo at which this all happens is breakneck speed. Everything I explained just now only happens in the first 20 minutes or so already. But man, does it keep you going, as you never know where the game takes you next. First of all, the intro of the game is fantastic. Instead of starting off regularly, you begin the game as if playing an old school first-person shooter in the same sense as Doom or Wolfenstein, which functions as a tutorial. It's your main character actually playing a game in the game. And already here, the humor of the game becomes apparent and how much it is at the forefront. Let me just also get out of the way that I am not a fan of Rick and Morty. I also don't dislike it, but I don't really watch it either. I have heard some people, including a few friends, say that you will only appreciate High on Life if you are a fan of Rick and Morty, and I can wholeheartedly tell you that no, you don't have to be a fan and can still enjoy the humor to its fullest. I also heard that some YouTubers said that this game was very unfunny or the humor simply didn't click with them. But humor is of course subjective and actually clicked very much with myself. There's a lot of meta humor regarding gaming or games in general as well, which is wonderful and made me laugh out loud multiple times. A joke where, for example, in the tutorial explains how to double jump only to find out that there is no double jump as the creators prioritize crouching over double jumping. The cursing and banter of the voice tutorial is hilarious with great timing and made me laugh within 1 minute of playing the game. Or later, when the talking knife, and yes, there are other talking weapons in the game, tells you to only use him and do an any % speedrun of the game, acknowledging the speedrun community and the various ideas and quirks they come up with for their runs. Even enemies will often acknowledge that they are in the game, with some of them early on questioning their life choices as being possibly the weakest enemies in the game. And let's dive deeper into the humorous banter of the game, because when I'm honest, it's mainly the humor of the game that's the reason to keep on playing. The game is a first-person shooter, and thus you'll be shooting waves of enemies over and over again. And though the shooting is not bad by any means, it's also not amazing or groundbreaking. There are not that many weapons. You have your standard pistol, a shotgun, a needler, and more. Each weapon does come with an alt-firing mode, and actually differ quite a lot from each other, but there's not just a whole lot of them, so don't expect a ton of different weapons out there. That's also because all the weapons have faces and each a different personality. It's fun to pull out different weapons and see what they have to say about the events in the game. And though some of the humor in the game comes in the form of visual gags, most of the humor is done through dialogue, and the game is full of it. So much so, in fact, that I heard that some people who played it found it annoying and the creators actually patched in the possibility to turn this off completely. Now I do agree that there is so much talking by both the enemies and also your gun that it sometimes overlaps and it's difficult to hear what anyone is saying, because so many people are talking through each other at the same time. But that does not mean that I dislike how many times people are talking. The dialogue really clicked with me, and I thought that the writing was absolutely solid. I would say that the delivery of the dialogue is indeed very much so in the same style of Rick and Morty, with a lot of mumbling, repetition of sentences, and fast-paced talking. But that makes it still feel unique and like its own style, and the voice cast does a perfect job on their line delivery. And the dialogue and humor are definitely for adults, though an 18+ rating like some YouTubers got is a bit extreme, I think. I believe the game even got a PEGI 16 rating in Europe, which I think fits it more. There's an incredible amount of swearing, so much so that I think this game has more F-bombs than the South Park game, at least at a quicker pace. There's also plenty of jokes about drugs, sex, and violence, but never goes overboard and becomes distasteful. Everything is done with a wink and a nudge, and is delightfully silly. The presentation of this game is also absolutely amazing. The characters and worlds are colorful, vibrant, full of detail. Especially the hub world, a cyberpunk-style city, is absolutely amazing to look at, and even after coming back to it multiple times, I was still amazed how beautiful it looked. There's just so much to see, it never gets old. I saw that some people call this game a Metroidvania, but I would not really agree. Yes, you will gain new weapons and abilities throughout the campaign that you can then access new areas and unlocks in older areas, but it does not feel like a coherent world like in Metroid. You go from planet to planet, which are secluded levels from another. I see it more as how Resident Evil Village did it, with you heading back to the village multiple times and being able to unlock new things and go to new places. There are quite a large number of things to collect, including treasure, and this can be used to purchase upgrades like more health. You can also participate in some side activities, including watching movies, of which there are 4 in the game with their complete runtime. You don't know how surprised I was to find out that they have Tammy the T-Rex as a whole movie in this game. You can just sit on your virtual sofa in your house and watch it. Tammy the T-Rex is a low-budget cult classic which has been talked about by other channels like Red Letter Media or the Killcon's Fresh Meat. And actually, talking about Red Letter Media, they're in this in a wonderful cameo, though quite a long cameo. Now the movie stars Paul Walker and Denise Richards, and is both terribly bad but also very fun at the same time. Other movies include Vampire Hookers, which, if the title doesn't give it away, I cannot show for obvious reasons. The campaign lasts you around 9 or so hours, which is very decent, and there's a lot of variety in between each world. I still love the city the most, and do have to admit that I miss the liveliness in some of the other worlds. There are also other cities you will visit through your journey, and some of these are actually very cool, but in a few of these worlds there are also little emphasis on actual story or dialogue, and more on the gameplay, like platforming. Which might sound better for some of you, but again, the gameplay is just okay and nothing special. One of the earliest worlds you will visit after the initial hub city is a purple planet, where you need to shoot at specific plants to make giant leaves appear on which you can stand and platform. Pretty fun, but nothing more. The boss fights are all quite diverse though, and feel both old school and also pretty challenging. They usually last quite a while, and you will need to dodge and seek opportunities to put in damage. Overall, I had a wonderful time with High on Life, but again, this was first and foremost because of the humor. But then again, that was also the case with the South Park game, and is really the reason why you want to play this. You don't play a game like this for the amazing shooting or solid platforming. You play it to partake in a crazy and loony story in which the DNA of Rick and Morty can be felt, but also is something completely different. An adventure with characters like you have never seen or met before, and jokes that stick with you and make you smile. As said before, you don't have to be a fan of Rick and Morty to appreciate this game. I laughed my ass off and still get a broad grin on my face when thinking back to all the ridiculous things I witnessed. High on Life, in the end, gets an 8.2. I am glad to see that another property which has its roots in TV and animation has translated so well to the gaming format. It really shows that when the people behind a show are behind the steering wheel of a game and the passion is there, that the product can feel really solid, at least in its presentation. I cannot wait to see what crazy things come next from these developers.